Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back. It is Friday, October 25th, and as usual, we have got our financial whisperer, Bryce, in the house, and we'll get to there in just a second. Got to take care of business first. I want to make sure that everybody double checks or gets subscribed over on Substack. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, grannies and gators, that is where we are kind of regrouping in the light of some of the things we talked about on last night's show. So it's critically important. The best way to get there, my computer's lagging a little bit, is of course over at whatsupcanada.org. When it comes back, you'll see a hopefully you'll see a giant button that says take us to conquer censorship, but we'll cover that another day. Bryce, Mr. Wade, our financial whisperer.
Sorry. Hello.
Mutually aligned miscreant in the public space of podcasting and venting. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good. It's been a hell of a week watching the world burn, but hey, we're still alive. We're still kicking, so they haven't won yet.
Oh, no. Today has been kind of a bit of a roller coaster ride for me. I can't. I'm deciding between behaving or taking over the world. So a little bit aggressive, or perhaps feisty, I guess I could call myself today. And so I was showing Bryce here just before we went live, and we're going to get into the gold and silver and the bullion and the nuggets of things here in just a second. But just to remind everybody to double check your subscription, your notifications, and help us out with a thumbs up or a heart. There is nobody our Trudeau regime likes to censor more than this platform, and it wouldn't have anything to do with some of the things that I pull from time to time in order to trigger conversation. And this is what I was talking about, being a little bit feisty today. I wanted to just give everybody a head a rattle and a shake in today, and ask a question on X. So this is a poll that I'm running on X. I hope everybody goes over there and takes part, and not necessarily out there to start a fight, but can we agree on something simple as support the country you live in, or go live in the country you support? Cut and dry, black and white, pretty simple. Hey, Bryce, agree or disagree?
I big agree. I already voted, and as you can see, I already posted.
Well, I think we need to clear some of the noise from the nonsense on all of this. We're being held hostage by, at the worst, incompetent vegetables. Given right, we've got a little potato and a talking tater tot that are running this country into the ground. So that's why I think I can fairly say without too much prejudice that we're being led by vegetables.
No.
So
and not the good kind.
No, not the kind you want. I see here, Mountain Man. That's awesome. He's already voted. Hey, if we're gonna fight about something, let's fight about something that matters and that's real, and have a discussion around that, right? And after this, we'll be diving after this show tonight. Bryce, maybe you'll come and join us in that too. You probably hadn't heard about it, but there's going to be a space on X where there's going to be a bunch of superpowers and big brains that are going to be diving into Bill C-293 as this country seems to finally be waking up en masse to what kind of insanity is included in this bill, which I call the most horrific assembly of words ever assembled onto a piece of paper to be construed as something legitimate. But that's really kind of where I want to shift to your specialty here now that I'm done ranting and poking the bear and stirring things up, as to how that uncertainty is affecting the bottom line, the bottom, where does the buck stop, I guess, is where we'll start. And if you guys are new here, Bryce works for a new company called New World Precious Metals. And I want to kind of get this bit out of the way. In my understanding, and not my understanding, but why Bryce is here on doing this show every week is to help people protect themselves. The company that you guys or that you work and the team that you work with, they exist primarily to help people protect themselves from the banks in portfolios, retirement funds, those kinds of things. This is how we met. That is what you guys provide, a custom service per individual, one-on-one, figure it out what is best for them, and save their bacons. And it's been a crazy week, but as I understand, and as expected. Correct or incorrect?
Yeah, no, it was expected. So last week we had a kind of a bull run for silver. It went up about 10% last week, peaked out about 35, which I'll show you in a sec. But gold is kind of the story right now because it's creeping up to another and continuous all-time high. So if you bring up my screen for a second here, I'll show everybody. Yeah, should I pull up that one more? Yeah, there we go. So this right here is our new all-time high for this week at least, which is 27.71. And so literally a year ago, the bottom of the market at the time for gold, because it went up to about 1950, 2000, it came back down to about 1850 was that floor. And since then, it has absolutely taken off, and we're up basically $900. So that's a 45% gain almost in literally 12 months. So people talk about getting a good return, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% maybe on a year, and gold is up 40%, which is a barometer of how the problems around the world are, not to mention all of the governments and, high net worth individuals, nations in the BRICS that's happening this week as well. They're all purchasing gold in preparation for the inevitable war that has already started, right? So this is not it's not just a militaristic war, it's a civilizational war between the East and the West. China wants to decapitate the West, and the US is trying to defend their hegemony across the world. Now, I think most people here, I'll just finish this one point. I think most people here don't really agree with all of the militarism and the stupid shit that the American government is doing. I certainly don't. But at the end of the day, if you have the choice between a authoritarian dictatorship that you know is going to kill you and enslave you, or one that at least tries to make you believe that it won't, I'm definitely going to take the one that at least is lying to me about saying that it's not going to do that, the one that says it's absolutely going to do that. And I think it's kind of the height of absurdity that anybody on the planet thinks that a Chinese and Russian-led world order is going to be anything other than an absolute horror fest. It's crazy to me, but the West is kind of losing its shine about, oh, hey, we're the good guys over here. Really? Well, you're kind of doing a lot of bad stuff. I can't really call you the good guys anymore. So I understand at a certain level why people feel like that. I'm like, hey, we need an alternative. I get it. I want an alternative to that dumb shit too, but it's not going to be China that is going to be the savior of humanity in any way, shape, or form when they're literally harvesting the organs of their own people. So ridiculous.
I can't disagree with you on any of that, and I'll get over to some of that in a minute. You just gave me way too many places to get into the weeds with that little diatribe. So it's you mentioned a couple of things there. BRICS has had a really big week, and people are understanding that it is literally just another dimension of the warfare being waged against us. And 100% agree. I'm not, it was one thing to look around the world thinking and believing that we were the good guys and things, and the reality is 100% the opposite. Nobody on the other side of the planet or the global south has any interest in anything that we are offering, because it's all just a lie. It's only about screwing them over, demolishing them, and people are making their bets on the global scale. And it's going to, wash, rinse, repeat of history. People have been going back to burying their gold and silver since the beginning of commerce and trade in those metals. So this is not just happening here, But I think it's important to distinguish the difference between BRICS and the military conflicts that are going on. They are two completely separate and different things. Russia's in a conflict right now, yes, but that doesn't define BRICS, right? And this is the things that people need to understand. When you've got China and India putting away their war swords to go into business together, whether we like it or not, our captured leadership has driven those people to create also alternatives, sanctions. We have sanctioned ourselves into the point where they've decided it's cheaper to build and start their own and do something different than to deal with us. It doesn't mean that we're going to go to war over the dollar or those kinds of things.
It does.
At the end of the day, yes, but that's a totally different conversation when it comes to that. And right now, they aren't interested in that, given the fact that NATO has basically had their asses handed to them, and they can't collectively outdo what Russia, China, and India could collectively outdo. And even countries like Turkey are saying, no, we're done playing the reindeer games. So, I mean, it's just different kinds of mafias. This is a global scale mafia war at this point. And I'm praying that we don't see the stupidity gets to the level of nuclear stupidity, but I don't think anything's off the table before we get through the November 5th election and the repercussions of that, because no matter what happens, it's going to be a giant shit show. I got to send a shout out here. William, get a hold of me. Send me an email. I think we need to talk. Sorry for that interruption, but that's somebody that, important individual.
And so what you can really see happening across the world in basically every facet of every quarter of the planet, rather, is that everybody's being chopped up into left or right? And left is in the sense that, like, it's the left side of the pond to the right side of the pond, right? We in the West are a minority of the people on this planet, but we are a majority and have been a majority of the industry for a long time, because after World War II, effectively everybody was either not industrialized at all, or that they were destroyed by the war that happened in various different places. So Europe was essentially destroyed. There's areas of China were destroyed, and the Middle East had problems, but not as much as in World War II, right? But they were not industrialized either. And so for the last 50, 70 odd years, we've had this world where anybody could trade with anybody at any time, anywhere, right? And so if you didn't have the resources that you need to industrialize, you can import them as long as you had something to add to the global whole. And what we're seeing with de-industrialization now, which is what's happening in Europe because they lost cheap energy, is that the people that have access to resources are going to be in a much better place than people that don't. And this is one of my infinite things that infinitely infuriates me, is that Canada is, by every single metric, the best place on the planet. There is no metric that we don't destroy everybody else on. Access to resources, access to water, access to food. We have everything that we need here to be an industrial powerhouse and an economic powerhouse. But again, because we're run by absolute morons, we're not, right? And so what's happening in the West now, all across the West, is we have this massive immigration spike that happened after 2020. After everybody got jabbed, they're all like, we need to bring in more people, even though we're going into a recession. And where are these jobs coming from? And I even said on Twitter today, because Justin Trudeau said something monolithically stupid, which was immigration is the superpower of Canada. Like, I don't know how you can make a dumber statement than having the superpower of a country being importing from another country. That's so insane and stupid. I can't even put it into words, because he did it himself. But my point is that somebody that is that stupid to believe that is also saying that, hey, everybody that's already here, you guys aren't a superpower, and so we're going to take people from another country. And even though the jobs growth that we're experiencing, if you can even call it that, because it's not actually growing, is from the government. They're hiring more people to the government, and every single
100%.
person that the government employs is a drag on the economy. It is the private citizens and private industry that create the wealth of a nation. I don't know if this idiot ever read Wealth of Nations, but obviously he doesn't know anything from that book or how economics works because he's a communist idiot. But every single person that you hire as a government, you have to fund with taxpayer money. Where do those taxes come from? The industry. And we, across the entire society right now, tax this, tax that, increase those taxes, increase these taxes. Like, it's insane.
There's no more blood left to harvest, and this is the thing, that the knock-on effect that I don't think people fully understand with Bill C-293. The instant they pass that trips the money printing for 500,000 new agency and bureaucracy jobs for the Liberal government. That's what it does. So there's going to, at that point, it is so beyond a measure and control, and they literally stated that they would how did they say that, absorb industries if it was necessary to compete or to deal with some sort of any pandemic that they should need to declare based on whatever emergency that they might
Like, hey, it's an
create.
emergency. We'll just take that.
That's literally what they're saying, and I don't think people say, "Oh, it's just another bill, it's just another law." No,
No,
no, no, no.
this is
This is
this
500,000
is it.
jobs. That's
No,
job
this is
creation
it.
for
So, like,
them.
we've been talking about the communist takeover and the communist things that these idiots are doing, but this is the literal definition of a loss of power of private citizens and your ability to hold on to whatever you have. This is literally the communist bill, because C-63 is designed specifically. Anybody that says anything that we don't agree with, boom, that's hate speech. You're gone and you're done. Right? This is the legal framework of a communist takeover of Canada. And that's not hyperbole. That's not exaggeration. That is what it is. Because one of the key points in this, and this is why I always talk about food, and this should be a wake-up call. If anybody out there has not done this about food, this is your wake-up call. Okay, because C-293 explicitly says that we will control all food production. Explicitly. It says it right in there. They're like, hey, you guys don't get it. You farmers, no, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about anymore. No, we, the government, understand how this is worked because we're so big brained and whatever, that we're going to take over and regulate out of existence or into existence any type of food production: beef, chicken, pork, bugs, all of the dumb shit that they're trying to do. This is the legislation that they want to enforce to take control of literally everything. Because if you don't have food, you don't survive.
100% agree. Marianne says, I can't say anything dumber. I think she's
Yeah, I know. I
telling
laughed
me
at that too.
you've just jinxed us that he's going to accept that challenge. And 100%, Leonard, we have to reject the SDGs, DEIs, the CBDCs, all of those things. If they try anything they try to tell you is for your benefit, is designed to kill or destroy you. Nikki, on this note here, I don't know if it'll wait till Monday. I may have to do something this weekend. This is not by coincidence. Again, get ready for the next propaganda stream on the next manufactured medical crisis. It's coming. These concoctions that they've got convinced people need, whether they like them or not. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. It's like another attack on the senior centers going on, I think. So crazy, crazy, crazy. So more to come on that, but do not comply. And yeah, no beetles, bugs, or crickets for me.
Yeah.
But these guys, these black shirts, brown shirts, whatever color of the week, these evil paramilitary groups of these Marxist psychopaths, they're going to extremes at this point here now. I saw it today in Alberta where they're destroying farmers' crops. Why? This people got to figure out there there are people amongst us that are at war with us while they are smiling at us and saying, "Have a nice day."
Yeah. And so maybe this is a good segue. So I did a presentation this week to a group that I'm a part of, basically on kind of a 30,000 foot view of why all this is happening, what to think about, and how to do something about it. So I probably explained the hand of change before, which is questions, answers, actions, results, choices, right? So I did a whole presentation about this. So I'm going to record that and put it up on my Rumble channel. It's the only thing I've ever done. I'm really not a content creator. I like this podcast for this reason, because I don't have to create all this content. So thank you very much for allowing me to do this, because it's quite a lot of work. So I really appreciate all the work that you do, man.
It's I've always been tried to juggle these feral cats that we're dealing with, and for lack of a better analogy, and realizing that we have to at least, while we're waking people up, show them a direction that they can go for their own safety. We can't save everybody, but
No.
there are things that people can do. Anything short of a nuclear world-ending conclusion, anything outside of that, currencies have collapsed, societies have collapsed, things have collapsed a bazillion times over on this planet. It's not the end of the universe, so prepare yourselves accordingly. And this is something I think we get a little too much of worldwide doom and gloom, and we observe the emotions of the universe, and without giving ourselves enough credit for doing the things that we can do, and look after our communities and ourselves. Canadians are traditionally great at preparing for different things, so if it's going to be a cold, dark winter by any chance, well, it's going to be the Canadians that'll be able to look after themselves. A lot of other people won't. Maybe they'll go home and they'll remigrate back whence they came.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if we just cut
funny.
off all of the funding that they get for free, that it's coming out of our pocket, they'd be gone themselves. And if we were actually enforcing laws and deporting people that were breaking them, I mean, I'm sure this wouldn't be that much of a problem. But we again run by a freaking potato and a vegetable, right? So there is that.
Yeah,
so I know it's possible to fix this stuff. It's like, do we as the people have the willpower, and do the people in power have the ability? And so, yeah, here we are.
I agree, Linda. The end of the old is the beginning of the new, right? When the old house is falling down, you build a new one. And that's kind of what we've been, our Canadians have been doing, in the shadows or on the side, as kind of a side hustle for quite some time. And none of us are seeing anything that wasn't expected at this point. And I think every week it's just week by week, there's more conspiracy theorists feeling good about what they're hearing, not because they're right, but because it's been confirmed. So this is why they try so hard to censor and shut us up and keep us from getting our voices out there. So I think that's the next big thing that people are starting to realize. It's not just propaganda. Propaganda and censorship, they work hand in hand. They need each other, and they're seeing it all repeat just too many times, especially coming up to this election on the 5th.
Oh
So
man, it's going to be chaos. I'm already seeing a lot of fraud that's happening, and like Dominion voting machines are just, they're a bunch of idiots, man. And like I post this meme all the time. Actually, I'll bring it up. Give me one sec. But basically, it's like we need a system that is uncorruptible, that we know 100% nobody can hack the system, because the system is robust enough and transparent enough that if anybody does try to do that in any way, it's easy to catch them. But we don't have that. Anybody that thinks that tabulators and voting machines is a good replacement for something that we've always had, that's a physical vote and it's physically counted, is either insane, ignorant, or a straight up traitor. Because there's no argument you can make me that's like, hey, let's take away checks and balances so that we can do it faster, when it takes an extra couple weeks to count votes. It's so insane. It's so insane that these people are like, well, we need to do it efficiently. And then it's like, oh, but we won't have the count for 2 weeks. Like, what?
It's how they're
Insane,
looking for anything that they can make plausible to make sure they get the results that they want.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's about that's what the gaslighting is for, to make us not believe in reality and think that maybe we're crazy. And then this,
Yeah.
then the that's the gaslighting, and then the propaganda comes out and says, yeah, those guys are crazy for thinking and asking questions like that, and then comes the censorship. So it's like we are the punching bags, wash, rinse, repeat on all of this, when it's absolutely provable that this manipulation is going on. And that was kind of one of the things we were covering last night too, is Facebook's open, well, not open. It was Veritas video that caught them admitting, that they're manipulating elections. We all knew this, but when you hear it from their own people, and we've experienced this, and so a lot of talk on that last night. So there's so much of this manipulation going on. I don't remember, it was in the States just a couple of weeks ago, where they had one of these, computer gathering events, things, geeks and computers and hackers and those kinds of things, and they did a test on the Dominion systems, Dominion machines, and then the
Yeah.
results were, not only is election manipulation possible, but it's a built-in feature, right? So
Oh yeah.
when you've got the David Eby in British Columbia implementing these
Stupid
things,
idiot.
as well as things like phone in, call in, those kinds of things, and then magically he wins in the closest election that needs weeks and months to flooded. It's just
Yeah.
so beyond absurd. That I don't know what to do but laugh, because people will go into revolt if once they start paying the check on this shit again.
Yeah. Hey, Esky Dog 2 just made a comment that I want to bring up and highlight, because I think it's an important question and something that needs an answer. So right in line with what I was talking about. Question, answer, action, results, choices. Right. So this is an important thing for everybody to understand. Okay, and I actually talk about this in in my presentation. So what separates a democracy from an authoritarian dictatorship, besides all the obvious, like by force and whatever? And the important difference is that you can remove your leaders if you don't like them. A dictatorship like you have in Venezuela, China, Russia, a bunch of other places around the planet, you shut the fuck up because I said so, is what they get. We are supposed to have democracy when you're like, listen, asshole, I don't like you anymore, get the fuck out, right? And I don't have any problem saying with that, because that's what we're supposed to have. But our system isn't designed in a way that we have that power. So, like, we've had a non-confidence vote like 3 times, I think, now. And the people that are already on the team of the corrupt morons are just like, no, we'll keep these idiots in power because we want to have power. Right. So that to me is not a proper system. The fact that we as citizens don't have an ability to say, I want this person gone. You'll notice that all votes that you make at all levels of government are only a positive vote. I vote for this person, or I vote for this person. It's never I vote against, right? And so an upgrade to our system, and I've started saying this as well. We're kind of past enough is enough. We all recognize now that enough is enough. These guys are all idiots. The system is broken. Everybody's a corrupt piece of shit, right? So if we've all had enough, right? So what's the next step beyond that is upgrades or else, right? Because if we don't get these upgrades, if we continue down this path, they have already set a path for us that is our demise, our death, our enslavement, or whatever bad thing you want to think of. That's what's coming, right? So if we don't want to walk down that path, we have to have a way to go down another path. What is that path, and how do we get down that path? But we have to have a system. You lied to me. You're corrupt. You're working for a foreign government. You are X, Y, whatever your reasoning is. Get the hell out of the leadership position, right? And we don't have that. And so what I think we need is something akin to a public non-confidence vote. So I just briefly thought of this, whatever this was, is like, if we had a system where we can go and vote against the current government, be like, these guys got to get out. I want to trigger an election, right? So I vote against the current government, right? And in each riding, if there's enough ridings that say we want a new government, it is automatically triggering the election and the government is kicked out. There is not a single politician, there is not a single government on the planet that has ever even thought of that, right? If we want a renaissance, it's not going to be the people that are already in charge that are going to do this. It's us, because they don't give a shit. right?
No.
And so, yeah, that's kind of my point.
The handlers of the meat muppets or the swamp zombies, they don't care which pirate we choose to be led by on this ship that we're all stowed away on here in Canada.
Yeah.
They're just, so long as we keep obeying either one of the pirates, well, they're good with that. And I 100% agree, Marianne. We need to pull an Iceland. 100%. They physically threw the politicians out in a dumpster. Something to be said for that. Unfortunately, I think Trudeau would order or would use shoot to kill orders if we tried that here in Canada. Unfortunately, and this is why he was so threatened by the trucker convoy. Was he couldn't intimidate people away until he actually did call for violence on the people. So that was literally it. You guys were this close to breaking that government. If you guys had done that in February, March, or June when it was summer, or then it would have been very different in my opinion. But you cannot capture lightning in a bottle, so there's something that's got to be done. Barbados is just, taking control of their constitution and their future destiny. What they choose to do with that is up to them, I suppose. I'm sure we'll hear, but getting rid of the monarchy was a giant step forward, and I think that's something that Canadians are going to be embracing sooner than later. Because without some serious constitutional reform, there, and it's like this meme that I use all the time. We've failed to deliver on justice. We cannot build a future on injustice, right? So if we don't fix it, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, and I think Tom McAvoy at 32 just brought up a good point. We need punishment that sticks for politicians, not just loss of job. Let's start with pensions, then jail. Yeah, if you're convicted of corruption, like everybody in the SDTC scandal, everybody that is a part of that, they stole public funds. You should lose absolutely everything. Like they destroyed people's lives. So like Tom, the hell's his name? Tom guy, the guy from the convoy. I can't remember his name. Tom. So they froze his bank accounts. They destroyed his life. Yeah, Marazzo. Thank you. So Tom Marazzo, they destroyed his life basically, and they censored him. They froze his bank accounts. Right? Has a single person has these doofuses from GC Strategies, have they had their bank accounts frozen and investigated? Like where's the audits? Like this is literally CRA's job.
Nobody is paid for committing those crimes, and this is why there's no accountability for any of them. And one of the things when I wrote that my declaration of notice that got millions of views, one of the things that I wrote in there was that people in positions of trust should be held to double the account of the charge that they commit if they're committing crimes against Canadians. They should get double the sentence for the crimes that they are committing, and I think we would have a very different expectation of serving who's serving who, and who needs to do the right thing. I think you're right, Billy. Here, the whole country would have shown up if that event would have happened in the spring or summer. That's what tyrants do. Trudeau's hanging on to his position. For him, he's on the 1 yard line with Bill C-293 and Bill C-63 and some of these other bills. These criminals, once they've got ascension on that, then they can go and get it at a spotlight. Their job has done. They've delivered for the WEF Fourth Reich. So after 1992, every bill in Canada has to be looked at and probably revoked and removed because they've all been committed in criminality by our
Yeah.
management teams, and even CSIS has told us so. And I
So
mean,
it's
how do we get foreigners in positions of control in Canada? I mean, how do we get a separatist guy, it's supposed to be a provincial leader, extorting the entire country?
yeah,
How do we get a Jagmeet Singh who's classified as a terrorist accessory, but yet holds our country?
significant power.
And yeah, and nobody in a protection agency does any damn thing about
I know.
this.
Everything is broken, but you can't lose. So this is an important thing for everybody to realize too. I, as much as everybody else, and probably more than most people, to be honest, absolutely hate the institutions that are doing this to us and are destroying our country and our society and our families and our future and all the good stuff that we care about, right? But you can't lose hope and you can't lose faith that good people are out there, and you have
Oh,
to connect with
100%.
those good people, right? Because if you lose total hope and total belief that this is fixable, there's only two responses after that, which is I give up or I'm fighting to the death now. And that's a dangerous place to be, right? Because if you continue to lose everything that you hold dear, eventually you're going to run out of things that you care about, and you'll be like, well, fuck it. I guess we're going to war, right? And that's not a good place. And that's where we're being pushed.
This Carly, confiscate their millions, their mansions, their offshore accounts, private jets, holiday homes, all of it. I couldn't agree with you more, and that is not impossible if people were fighting some of these fights differently or correctly. We're just not there yet, but that's the difference of de facto versus de jure,
Mhm.
and a whole other night of conversation. That gets me into trouble every time I have that conversation on here, and that's part of the restructuring process. In order to invoke that and to change the whole system, it's not impossible. That's exactly what Iceland did. Barbados is a little bit different, but it's interesting. People don't think about how much history matters. The process that Iceland entered into, and I'm not talking about the throwing your politicians in the dumpsters, but the process of arresting their bankers and their corrupt politicians and moving to hosting constitutional reform. That was the exact same process that America did in 1776 when they
Yep.
wrote their constitution and decided to be a constitutional republic.
By 20
And
somethings.
but pardon me.
By 20 somethings. The founding fathers were 20 somethings, all of them.
Yeah, they were all young men,
Yep.
and they all paid extreme prices for it.
They did.
None of them really, got the opportunity to see the future of their country. But that kind of being compelled, and dedication to our country is what Canada needs to find a few of those people, and maybe start approaching some of these discussions in different ways and not being afraid to poke the bear and build on what the results are.
Yeah. Well, I'm not afraid to do that because I am sick of this shit. And at the end of the day, everybody's going to have a choice, right? Are you going to submit to slavery, or are you going to fight for your freedom? Because those are the only two choices that you're going to have left. This is what it is, man.
Well, and
But
as of 1991, the Little Child versus the People case, you're 100% correct, Carly. That was the precedent that meant that the people in government could not be held to account criminally, and it's been a free for all since
ever
that
since.
that court case.
Yeah, and one of the important things to realize is that a constitution restricts the government. All the laws restrict you, the citizen, right? And
Yep.
so we're supposed to have laws in place that the government can't take away our freedoms, even though Justin Trudeau and his communist band of clowns have essentially pissed away all of our rights, right? So we don't have the ability to move freely anymore. 15-minute cities are literally the destruction of that right completely. We don't have the right to our own body. They can force inject us with shit at risk of extortion or loss of job or loss of life potentially. And now they're trying to criminalize freedom of speech, which is just insane that anybody could even support this or even suggest it. And there's still people that are supporting this. The people are there's too many people that don't know, right? And there's too many people that don't want to know. But the people that do know and the people that do care are the people that need to be doing something about it. So It's on all of us, not just me or you.
I 100% agree. And this is, I've been waiting for people to catch up. I've been years ahead on so many
Yeah,
things, and it's because I understood my history and I understand people enough to know that it's just not that time. But there's an interesting comment here that I have to pick up. First of all, yeah,
yeah.
Billy, Republic of Canada sounds catchy.
That was my thought. If we were going to reform Canada, it would be a Republic of Canada for sure.
So now this is the part that I really want to get to for a second from Don Jr. Time for Quebec to form their own republic once and for all. Don, that is such a monumental statement because that exactly is the extortion that Bressot or is whatever his name is, the bloc leader, he uses,
Yeah,
and the every party that's been a reform or a separatist party in Quebec, that is exactly what the extortion has been for all of Canada for as far back as we can remember, going right back to the foundation of our country. So that is where the blackmail happens. And the thing is, they think the whole damn country is as dumb as a rock and doesn't know. That's the part that infuriates me. They think we are too stupid to even know or understand what is going on with that. Trudeau just dismisses it. He calls it, oh, he washes his hands over the Quebec problem. That's the Quebec problem.
yeah.
That's literally it in a nutshell. It's either we become a Republic of Canada and save the whole damn country, or sooner or later, when the extortion runs out and the mafia syndicates that have been squabbling over driving the bus while it's going over the cliff are going to come to loggerheads, and it's then they're going to take their marbles and go home, leave, and they'll have the advantage, the overhand advantage on the rest of the country because we still don't have a clue what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So we need some reform.
Oh, big time. And if you bring up my screen for a second, I want to kind of show everybody. So all of you can see in reality what's happening, because I know most of you are kind of clicked into what's happening around the world, and specifically in Canada with our own society. But this is kind of an overview of how it works, because I mention communist all the time for a reason. This is where these idiots come from and where their ideology comes from. And so I'll just read this up briefly. So during the Cultural Revolution in China and Soviet rule, the USSR and the people in power implemented a two-tiered legal system. Sound familiar? Which would fight and persecute law-abiding citizens while protecting low-level criminals. Does that sound familiar? I'm sure it does. And so the objective of this policy was to keep the populace in fear and compliance, importantly, and giving de facto legal immunity to criminals who would cause chaos and work on the behalf for the ruling regime. Sound familiar? And so this is the communist revolution that is being fomented in the West. All these idiots like dance around with Khalistan and Palestine. All this has nothing to do with Canada, but they're like, hey, our problems for the rest of the world, we have to have this in Canada. Super tired of this stuff. But what it shows is that the people that are flying flags of other countries around the here in Canada, they get support from the police. The people that fly Canadian flags, they're like, no, screw these guys. They're anti, like, what do you, I don't even know how they square this circle in their head, but they're like, these people are against us, the ruling class, the stupid shit that we're doing, because I'm flying a flag of my own country. Be like, that guy's real not good. That guy's talking about freedom and freedom of speech and stuff. Real bad fella, that guy. But what I'm getting at here and why I'm showing this is that the two-tier system is already being implemented, just like it is in the UK. And if it's not changed, if these people aren't removed, if we don't do anything about it, this is what happens: is that eventually you get to a point, which is what 293 and C63 are, that you can't do anything about it because they've taken too much power. So I've said for a while, probably the last 6 months here while I've been doing this, we're not there yet, but C63 and 293 are there. That is the delineation between we're not and we are a communist dictatorship.
It's going to be really difficult to fight back or resist from the gulag.
Yeah, exactly.
Begging for food stamps for 1,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Based on good behavior under the watchful eye. Right. Yeah. So, Yeah, no, the clear alternatives under Bill C-293. That's the one that, as much as Bill C-63 scares me, it's the they're going to get me on that regardless. It's over for me. I probably get front row seating in the gulag. But the C-293 is the one that people will be able to relate to. They haven't maybe said the things that I've said or poked the bears on the social media. They haven't done this kind of thing, so they don't have that to worry about. But so it's not in their brain, but that's 293. People need, I think that's the one that they're going, whoa up, wait a minute. We didn't vote for this. This doesn't make any sense. And no, I'm not interested in them declaring a climate emergency, stealing all of my money, putting us in a convenient 15 little minute people coop and feed me crickets for my safety. Because that's literally what it's at. And the scary part for this, I think, is people will be able to start connecting the dots on some of this, because this is exactly the manipulation with the flooding of the major urban centers so that they gain political control. So the rest of the province is not being represented in whatever manipulation that they implement through their elections. So that's how that's how they'll only be able to service the city. And if you want to eat, that's where you're going to have to go.
That's why I continually talk about food, because once they have control of food, they control you. If they control your ability to get food or feed your family, you're going to be a lot more compliant and pliable to what they want you to do. And if that's get in a train car, that's what it is.
Yeah. This is already what's been going on. Um, Lone Arnie, I've been focusing and talking all week with people about this case against Bill Gates in the Netherlands as well, but that's going to take some time. That's not a today, right now. So for me, it's priorities in the order of threat and preparing for the next one in the correct order. But yeah, it's definitely something that's important. And it's not just the Netherlands now. So this case against Bill Gates is building in other nations as well. We're going to have to get through a C-293 and the insanity that is guaranteed with the American election. That's kind of on the imminent horizon that I'm concerned with. Look what they did, over January 6th. It's pretty desperate, these guys. Domestic terrorists, absolutely, is what they are. But yeah.
Yeah. And one of the commenters here mentioned DEI, and that's that effect. And this is another example of communism. They're like, hey, you people over there don't get stuff. You people over there get extra stuff because X, Y, and Z. It is literally illegal to hire people based on sex and gender. I don't even know how this stupid shit is legal, but it is, because it's part of the current paradigm and all these woke lunatic lefties that are literal communists at heart, even if they know it or not. But what it is a division of people, not by skill, which is what you're supposed to be hiring on, but by identity of whatever sort. Like, oh, I'm a trans person or a black person or a white person or whatever bullshit you think you are. Regardless of what your skill is, you're getting hired based on that. That is literally illegal, right? That you're not allowed to do that. And yet somehow all of these idiots, in the government included, are hiring people based on this. It's an absolute travesty and it's an absolute absurdity. So like, anybody that supports DEI is a fucking moron.
100%. Saskatchewan, they Monday is your guys' big day there. Hey, Michelle. I'm just I wish everybody in Saskatchewan the best of luck with that. They've got some extreme unwanted or undesired influences going on in Saskatchewan as well. And I'll actually be doing a chunk on an online coverage with Sean Newman's podcast, which is going to be an all night election coverage from Saskatchewan. So I'm wishing you guys better luck than they had in British Columbia. So yeah, Robin is I'm sorry for that. Robin is a PSF. This is what bugs me so much about the destruction of crops. That's um, the destruction of stockpiled crops. That's beyond just controlling. That's an
It,
attack.
it's a
That's a
war.
serious attack.
It is. It's a war. War is a game of logistics, right? And everybody knows that you can't fight a war on an empty stomach. And you mentioned the Ukraine war earlier today. So early in this episode. So the every war that happens is usually an advancement of technology in some form, and that's happened a lot faster in modern times because our technology advances so much faster. So like the Renaissance wars and the Napoleonic wars are very similar because not a lot changed other than the tactics, not the technology, right? So there was differences in how things were used, not what was being used, right? But World War II, World War One, and now World War III are significant and massive changes to how war operates. And the big change for this war is drones, right? And we're talking about having guns at all, right? That's a World War II idea, right? Now there is going to be drones in the air that can see everywhere that you are and can just bomb you and you're dead. Like that is how a lot of the modern wars have been lost. So there was Azerbaijan versus Armenia. Armenia got absolutely obliterated because they didn't have drones and the Azerbaijanis did, right? And so what's happening now on the Ukrainian battlefront is that Ukraine is essentially mass producing these ISR drones, which is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and they're using other sorts of drones that are essentially suicide drones to be like, oh, there's a guy over there, woo, oh, there's a tank over there, woo, right? That is not how you like even. Let's say that everybody woke up right now and was like, yo, we got to solve all these problems, right? Everybody gets a gun, everybody's in a militia, everybody's in an army, we're all defending Canada, rah, 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 right? Even if that was to happen in an actual war with that type of technology, everybody is susceptible because you can't see this tiny drone coming at you at Mach 2 from the sky because everybody's looking this way to see what's in front of you, not looking up and defending. So the type of war that we're in now, and why I find this so important for everybody to understand, is that if these people ever take complete control, which is the path that we're on, the amount of technology that can be leveraged against us, the citizens that are literally defenseless because we're not allowed to own weapons, is it's civilization ending, right? Because if you think of the people in history that have had this type of power, Stalin and Mao and all these insane people, just like China does now, which is
If
Xi
those guys,
Jinping.
if Hitler had had the opportunity to the technology that these current dictators have,
Yeah,
we would all be singing from the Bible of Mein Kampf,
yeah, totally.
literally.
But
You
this is what is happening now. We're going to be singing from a communist, whatever the communist manifesto is, right? If we don't do anything about it, and I think it's an important distinction to make too, is that if the U.S. does actually fall, the West falls with it. All humanity is enslaved.
100%.
The only thing standing in between freedom and slavery has been the U.S. Constitution and 100 odd million Americans or 200 odd million Americans with guns because they couldn't take over that country without doing it insidiously from within. And if that actually happens and the actual martial power, the military power of the U.S. falls, there's nothing else to stand in the way from that, right? And so because the U.S. is being corrupted so horribly from within, now that's a real threat of happening. And this is why I go back to the key that you always brought up, which is the problem with globalization. The solution is localization. They still have to come to your door and take your shit, right? Eventually, they're going to have to do that in some way, maybe whether that's a drone or a freaking a Gestapo goon from the government is kind of irrelevant because eventually they're going to do it no matter what. So the real important thing to understand with this is if nothing happens, if we do nothing, this is what is going to happen to us because
Well,
that's where the technology is going.
the sad thing about not paying attention to history is you don't see it coming again. Or pardon me, the sad part about paying attention to history is when you see it again. And when you look through
Yeah,
history, no democracy has ever survived that didn't ultimately end up in a tyrannical dictatorship, because
yeah,
ultimately at the end of the day, that's what democracy is fancy words for rule by the mob, and the strongest mafia wins. And
mhm,
this is kind of what Canadians are on track to be paying for that kind of devolution. So without understanding, what gets us away from that, we are absolutely ending, headed for a Terminator style of living. This, if our government decides, whether if we don't decide to do this peacefully, we will never achieve it violently in this day and age. So people, these keyboard warriors that want to, call for, doing something more serious, those people are dangerous, and we need to get behind. We're having success with, even now the premier of Alberta has come out against Bill 293. We've got some opportunity to hold the line, shall we say, in a lot of different ways, and they're coming at us in a lot of different ways. But and I know that everybody's tired, but do it tired. We have to do it because there's not going to be an opportunity to do it from the gulag. It's just not possible. So, yeah, my thoughts on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, 100%, man. And to your point, like the time is running out, and somebody just posted that we've lived our lives in not Western Canada, Canada in general, for the last 100 years odd, has been pretty goddamn good. We're like, humanity in the latter part of the last century is probably the pinnacle of civilization, really, when you think about how good everything has been for most people on the planet at that time, right? Because war was going down, disease was going down, economies were going up, people were doing stuff, having kids, blah 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 blah, right? And so we've become complacent and what's the other word? Complacent and comfort and not comforted, comforting, full of comfort. You know what I'm trying to say? Comforting. Yeah, we've been too comfortable. That's what I'm trying to say. We've been too comfortable for too long, and people have forgotten what it takes to survive and fight for what you believe in and what's important to you. We have gotten lulled into a false sense of security, and that is thankfully finally breaking, because a lot more people are realizing, why is everything all fucked up, man? Why is everybody such an idiot? Why is my government trying to screw me over, and why are they trying to destroy my life? Like, there's a problem here, and people are finally starting to notice, thankfully. But the question is, will it be enough and fast enough to actually do something about it in time before they completely win?
Weak men create hard times,
Exactly.
and weaker men allow it. So, man, suck it up, Buttercup Canadians. We got some work to do. We got to figure it out. Find at least something that we can agree upon and act upon, and start taking it to them. But that's I'm talking broad spectrum here when it comes to that. There's lots that we can do. It's not the end of the world tomorrow. We'll talk about that on Monday. No, I'm just kidding. That's going to be who knows what's coming up on Monday. But yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight.
But before we end for the
ahead.
day, I just want to, if you bring up my screen again, I wanted to finish on this because I predict this, so I feel pretty good about it. So last week, basically, I was like, hey, there's so this run up, right? This rise in this 10% rise in silver prices that I was talking about, right? So we were at basically just under 32. We hit a high of 35. And now it's back down to about 33. So this dip that I was talking about, I was like, I think, because where was the Friday? Friday was 22nd, right? No, that was this week. Was it Friday? What was Friday? I'm sorry, give me one sec. 18th. 18th. Here we go. So I predicted, because this was that 7% rise. So from here to here, that was the 18th. So I was like, next week, there's probably going to be a dip, because after every rise, there's always a fall. So if you guys have been on the fence about getting gold and silver, hey, now's the time. This is going to go up a lot higher, and I can talk infinitely about the reasons for that. But if you guys are still interested or on the fence about this is a good time before it goes up significantly, because what we're seeing is the world is being set on fire in a variety of ways, and so this is one of the ways that you can profit from it and hopefully protect yourself and your family from what's coming. So that's it for me.
100%, 100% agree. Awesome. Well, it's been an adventure. It's been a slice. Ordinarily I wouldn't squeeze us out of the show like this, but otherwise, more work to do, no rest for the wicked. I fight tired too, so from here it's directly over to X, and I'll be joining in on some stuff over there. So thank you again, Bryce.
Yeah, and
We'll
thank
see
you for
what
all the support and the people that have reached out. Really appreciate it, and we're here to help. So if you can't afford gold and silver, just go get food and bullets.
I think. Sandra has been
Oh, it's real.
yeah. No, this is real, and I want to, for the folks that are kind of new here or haven't been around for a while, that's why we partnered, or I partnered with you guys. Is it's real gold and silver, real precious metals delivered to you wherever you want them, and if you want to move them around from different countries and things like that, you can do that too. And it's not paper gold, 100% the real deal, McCoy. Full disclosure, it's not retail. You're not doing individual rounds or coins, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit different. I saw earlier on in the chat somebody had mentioned 5120 paying for Victoria's today. I think what they're called, but yeah, it's absolutely exploding. I'm seeing it even in the alternative markets. Now is the time. You're going to be well rewarded for it, but you guys kind of specialize in more as in helping people get it out of their banks and protect it in tangible stuff. So
Yeah, you
right.
can back up your retirement savings. We can do corporate accounts, and we can do outside of the banking system safe storage. That's wholesale. So there's a bunch of benefits to that. We don't have time to get into it today, but you can click on the link below this video, and if you're interested in having a call with me, you can through that.
Yeah, you betcha. So I hope that explains it. Probably overkill on explaining it, but all right. Well, you have yourself an amazing weekend, and we'll see
You
what
too,
kind
man.
of trouble we can come up with in the next week.
Sounds good, Wayne. Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye for now. All right, guys. That's yeah, crazy times. Call for crazy discussions, and we have some of those here every week, every Monday to Friday, actually, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that's kind of it for this week. I'm not sure if there's might be some, if it works out, there might be something extra on the weekend. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I love you all. Stay mighty. I guess I better go through the rest of it. If you have, people have been noticing the pendant that I wear, the Spartan helmet that comes from Sherwin by design. So a plug out for Sherwin. He doesn't make these for money or for profit. He makes these to donate to causes. So that's where you can go to get that. If you have any information, you need to reach out to get a hold of me. That is the best place to do it. Contact at whatsupcanada.org and support independent journalism, folks. Whoever it is that you trust the most that is fighting for you the hardest, they're probably doing it because they love you and their community and their country, not because they're doing it to recreate an industry. So I encourage everybody to fund and support independent journalism. And if this is the platform that you want to help keep free for everybody else out there, that's where the best way to send support is, because they don't take as much. There's other alternatives. You can subscribe on Substack if you wish. That's always free. Everything you hear here is always free, but you can, I think it's $8 a month, so like 50 cents per episode. You can support us that way. And that's a wrap. And we'll see you on Monday.
In times of global instability, soaring inflation and massive debt, gold and silver have proven to be unshakable pillars of wealth. New World Precious Metals, based in Calgary, Canada, is a leading international brokerage. We offer an easy, secure and cost-effective platform for investing in gold and silver, including our international wholesale program and registered retirement savings accounts. Protect your money outside traditional banking with our physical precious metals, privately vaulted outside the banking system, at secure, insured exchanges worldwide. Gold and silver have been trusted assets for generations, with current projections indicating high returns. And with unprecedented demand from governments, banks, and investors, there are now shortages. Precious metals thrive during inflation, geopolitical instability, and currency devaluation. Sound familiar? Now is the time to invest in gold and silver, whether in your international investment account or by transferring registered retirement savings accounts. Experience the security of physical precious metals, combining the safety of physical assets with the flexibility of being like your own bank, offering instant liquidity and a financed line of credit. With precious metals on the rise, don't miss this generational opportunity to protect your wealth. At New World Precious Metals, we ensure your wealth meets its potential. Contact us today and our personal brokers will guide you every step of the way.